I've hired over 100 sales reps and interviewed hundreds of more. And after helping even dozens of college students land 10K a month roles, I've noticed something. Everyone fails sales interviews for the exact same reasons over and over and over again. And in this video, I'm gonna show you the 5 questions every sales interview asks, what they're actually looking for in your answers, and the exact same framework that I've helped dozens of students land 10K a month roles even in the past month alone, including even the exact same response that Matthew, who just landed a 10K a month role last week with this exact interview process. And now we're gonna get into the biggest question of what everyone asks. Oh, what if I don't have experience? And I'm gonna be honest with you, it is not the biggest thing. I don't know if you even watched my last video, but I talked about how experience is sometimes overrated in this high ticket sales game. I made the analogy of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So if I have a sales rep that already has bad habits and bad tendencies, I'd much rather take a new sales rep, train them up correctly, and have a killer that is able to do hundreds and hundreds of dollars a day and do more inputs rather than having the old dog. So if you're trying to become an appointment setter, experience is not the biggest thing. And I'll get into what even is the biggest things of how you can land your first appointment setting role. The 3 qualities that every interview is looking for is hunger, competence, and obviously time. So do you have the time for this role? Are you hungry? Are you here just to help out yourself, or are you here to help out the business? And are you competent? If you ask me questions, are these Googleable questions, or do you actually need help? If I give you the help, are you gonna implement, or are you gonna ask me the next time, and the next time, and the next time? Are you competent enough to actually lead this team and lead a prospect towards the right direction so they can actually buy? Those are the biggest things. And another huge misconception that people have about sales interviews, it's gonna be the 65-year-old dude in a suit, and he's gonna be like, hey, sell me this pen. No, dude, most of these people are my age. I'm 22 years old. Maybe they'll be like 25, 30 years old. It's a super laid back, chill conversation. Of course, they're there for the point of trying to actually get a salesperson on their team. So they are gonna treat it like a real interview, but it's not gonna be some scary approach. And again, like, I don't need anything crazy either. Like, you don't need to have this marble background and this magnificent painting of a tiger in your background. Most people do it at home. They have a white background. Maybe they even blur out the background. I don't recommend you do that, but you don't need anything crazy. But honestly, what disqualifies most candidates off the bat is these little things. For example, showing up late. You're not even on the job yet and you're already showing up late. And then number 2, not following up. Like, let's say you try to set up an interview with someone and they don't respond just yet, and then you don't follow up. I actually know sales managers that don't respond to sales reps on the first try just to see if these sales reps will actually follow up with them. Because again, if you're not gonna follow up to get the job, what makes them think you're actually gonna follow up when you're on the job? And then again, just like easy stuff, you have to realize that you are applying for a job. If you're showing up and you look hungover, your bed is in the background, or just anything presentation-wise that you're like, hey, if I was about to hire someone, I probably wouldn't like this person to do X, Y, and Z, just don't do it. Like, it's very simple. Like, honestly, and I've seen this in the real world, getting regular jobs is way harder than any high ticket sales job. But again, you have to be presentable and know what you're doing. So this is what you can do pre-interview, so you can actually crush the interview, so you don't have to worry about any of this. Number 1 is to know what you're applying for. So if you're applying for a setter or a closer, have some background on like what you're going to be doing on the interview. So this is why I'm here, right? So they might have you run a role play, so learn the framework. I have a bunch of videos on my channels going through role play scenarios of objections and discovery. Learn some of those, write the same questions I said down, and keep role playing with people in your personal network. Find 1 or 2 people that are trying to get into sales as well and practice with them. And again, this is a job. So not only are they qualifying you, you're gonna make sure the job is quality enough for you as well, right? You actually have to prepare questions. If someone ever comes to an interview and they haven't prepared questions for me, this might show me that, hey, either they don't want it, they're not an expert, or they don't value their time. If they're just jumping on random offers and they're not qualifying them themselves, either they don't know what they're looking for, or they really haven't had this much experience in this game, so I probably don't even want to hire them in the first place. And some people might even ask some broad questions on the interview like, oh, well, tell me a little bit more about yourself. And again, this can open up a whole can of worms. Honestly, that's not my favorite question in the world for an interview, but some salespeople do ask it on interviews. But if you do get something like that, don't start talking about like, oh, I love pickleball, I love fishing, I love steak, I love chicken. Like, getting the stuff that actually helps you land the role, right? Like, for example, let's say you do want to bring up your hobbies, and they're like, tell me a little bit more about yourself. Well, I love going to the gym, I love boxing, I love X, Y, and Z. All of that relate to sales, because as you know with boxing, like when you first start, you're really, really crappy. But in order to get better, you have to keep showing up. You have to get hit in the face, literally sometimes, in order to get better. But that showed me consistency and discipline, and that translates to my sales experience. All they asked me, hey, tell me a little bit more about yourself. And I got into a hobby that I have that actually relates to how I'm actually going to perform perform for their company. And of course, get into your sales experience too if you have it, but like, don't just start talking about random shit, because I don't think that's gonna help on your sales interview, right? And then again, like I told you before, the first thing going in most people's head is like, well, what if I get this interview, but like I still don't have experience and they ask me what my experience is? It's fine. Again, like I told you before, and as coming from someone that has hired hundreds and hundreds of sales reps and hires dozens every few weeks, like again, experience, especially for appointment setting, is not necessarily crucial. But again, I made this analogy in my last video, I believe, but it's making up for it. Let's say you're a short guy in the dating scene. Most women are looking for tall guys, 6'6", jack, all these different things. You're already at a disadvantage, right? But what are you gonna do? Are you just gonna sit there and cope, or are you gonna leverage the things that are also great about you? You can still go get the girl that you want, right? So, hey, I'm gonna get jacked, I'm gonna get rich, I'm gonna get tan, I'm gonna become smart, I can speak well. Like, hey, I'd rather take that over just some, if I was a woman, over some random tall guy, right? So this is an example of how you can leverage your experience. So like, let's say if I was the interviewer and I was like, okay, do you have experience? And then the other person said, well, no, I don't have experience, but I've been doing a lot of research and I've been doing a lot of implementation on my own. I know that most sales reps are really, really bad at filling out their CRM, hitting their KPIs, because like sometimes your KPI will be 100 dials and people only do like exactly 100. People are really bad at their household stuff, like again, keeping the CRM, doing their data, all that different stuff. And I know it's annoying for you as a sales manager or you as a business owner. So I know I'm coming with a little bit less experience. I know I'm a little bit at a disadvantage, but I promise you, if the KPI is $100, I'll do 200. If you expect the end of day report to be done by midnight, I'll get it done by 11. I will do everything I can that most people won't to make up for that. If an appointment setter or anyone told me that on an interview, I'm definitely gonna give them a shot. But now that you know what to do before an interview and how to prep for some of these questions, when you get on the interview and you're looking the interviewer in the face, again, you're gonna be a little bit scared. I interview tons and tons of people. I'm just gonna tell you what most people will ask you. They first might ask you, oh, what got you into sales? The regular answer people will say is like, well, I want to make a lot of money. And everyone does know that. Don't shy away from the fact that you're there for money, but also get into the fact that you're wanting to grow, you're wanting to help people, and you're wanting to help a team, right? As you know, and everyone answers this, obviously I want to make money. But at the same time too, like I was an athlete. I was the captain on my baseball team, and I was always super, super competitive. I really love getting out what you put in, and I love getting better and kind of having a reward for me getting better as opposed to like a 9 to 5. So sales is great. And again, like I've already had leadership positions in the past. So I feel like me getting into sales just made sense. And again, I love helping people too. Like for example, when I was on the baseball team, I would even help the guy that was a little bit lower in the rankings get better so he can win as well. And I know sales is a lot of helping people. Also too, like I would love to help the teammates on my team if I were a part of this team as well. If I ask someone why sales and they give me that response, and now they might even ask you, okay, well, you can work for anyone. Why do you want to work for us specifically? And again, you don't need to sit there and lie and be like, oh my God, I'm so passionate about e-commerce. You can be like, well, I know e-commerce helps people. I know it makes a lot of money. I know I want to make a lot of money. And honestly, it's not like the product itself, because like I'm sure when you got into e-commerce, you weren't like, oh my God, e-commerce, I'm so excited. Like it was like, hey, this is the model I found. This is the one I spoke to, but it changed my life, right? And I could be selling Amazon FBA. I could be selling TikTok Shop. As long as I know that I'm helping people, like I'm gonna have so much conviction in it, right? And obviously from your personal brand, and I've been seeing your results, I know you're here to help people. So that's why I would love to work for your company. And then they might ask you, okay, how much do you know about our offer? How much do you know about e-commerce? So this is why it's important to do your research. So before you ever get on an interview, make sure you're watching these people's YouTube channels, their VSL, which is their video sales letter. So like most people, again, I've talked about this in videos in the past, but most people have a link in their bio that's like the video that pretty much warms people up before they buy. So make sure you watch that. Make sure you watch their Instagram reels. It's not really hard to figure out what people are teaching, especially if it's something easy like Amazon FBA and e-commerce or fitness coaching, whatever. Just come prepared and be like, hey, I know you have this type of program. Obviously, I'm not doing e-commerce myself. If I was doing e-commerce myself, I probably wouldn't be applying for this. But even before I got into sales, I was researching a lot about e-commerce. I understand how picking a niche, finding a product, scaling with ads, creatives, all that great stuff. I understand how it works. And of course, I'm sure if I'm a part of the team, you'll give me access to some of your video modules and stuff like that, so I can definitely get more familiar. But I was actually up pretty late last night watching on your YouTube videos, so I understand it. Don't worry about that. Cool. This guy studied. He knows what he's talking about, and he was confident. And he kind of already knows what's going to happen, the fact that you're probably going to give him video modules if he's a part of the team. And again, they might even ask you a question like, tell me a time where you had to face adversity or something along the lines of that. Again, it's not my favorite question because I feel like it's more of a corporate question. Think for a second. If you had an experience you have to get past adversity in your life, sales probably won't be for you. At the end of the day, sales, you don't get paid unless you actually make money, unless you perform. And for most people, if you were an athlete, if you've gone through like a weight loss transformation, you're big into the gym, you've done stuff like that, like sales is gonna be great for you. Not saying for people that haven't, it's not, but like someone's always went through something in their life, so answer that as best as you can. You will talk about salary and commissions and all that great stuff. That's probably something you'll ask them at the end of the interview. So now they might get into the role play section. Again, this is where most people might get scared of, like, oh no, I wasn't prepared for this. I only did 10 role plays. If I did that 11th one, I'd be so much better off. Dude, you're gonna be fine. Okay, you can watch some of my videos as well, write down those questions, find a friend, and start role playing. But they're not like looking for an A player as soon as they get off this interview. Like what they're looking for is like, hey, can this guy keep up, right? How you signify that you're an A player is all the other stuff. If you're not that amazing on the phone just yet, but you have all the other stuff, again, I'd much rather take you as opposed to being great on the phone, but being a complete idiot outside of that. I'd rather take the other person, right? Again, just role play as much as you can, get comfortable on the phone, and do your thing. Like, let's say for example, when I played basketball, like whenever I would miss a shot, I'd be like, fuck, like why didn't I make it? Shit, why didn't I make it? If you're stopping after every mess up in the role play, they're gonna be like, oh, this guy's not confident at all. Even though you're messing it up, you still keep going and you still keep progressing. They'll be like, okay, this guy obviously needs to get a little bit better, but he can keep up with the team and he's confident in his process. Maybe even say before the role play and be like, okay, cool. And do me a favor and grill me as much as possible too. I want to get better, ha ha ha, and just get into a role play. That shows a sign of being coachable and being confident and being okay that you're not the best yet. And now, what should your setup be like? Because all of these interviews will most likely be on Zoom. You don't need this magnificent tiger poster or this great lighting or anything like that. Literally, I got my first interviews living in a college fraternity house. I've seen people with their bed in the background get good closing roles. It's like, you don't need anything crazy, but be presentable. You're applying for a job, right? So go to a coffee shop if you want to. Go to the office space in your apartment building if you live in one, and just find the nicest place you can be in. All you need is a decent mic. You can literally use like earbud mics from your iPhone and just have a camera on your laptop and you're gonna be totally fine. Like you don't need to do anything crazy at all. And honestly, like if you do too much, they'll be like, oh, there's something off here, right? Just be natural, be calm, like just chill. But obviously the background itself doesn't really matter much, but body language, being on camera, like being on the Zoom does matter a lot, right? If you're like, hey, Mr. Interviewer, I don't have experience, like you're not gonna win, right? But if you're like, yeah, I don't have as much experience as maybe other people that have interviewed, but I do have this, I will do this, I'll do this, and I'll commit to doing all of that. Again, confident. Dude, I don't have as much experience maybe that Dylan does, but I'm chilling, I'm good, I'm gonna crush for you. Confidence, that's all it is. Now I will show you literally a live role play on my channel actually. So this is with one of our students, Xavier. So I'll just play it and show you how like a role play usually works. Well, good to meet you. I'm here in Miami, the obviously better city, but I've been following Sebastian for and everything.
Yeah, I saw his YouTube probably like...
So getting some more background knowledge of how long he's been following the business owner and where he came from.
I'd say maybe about a month ago, and I was like looking through stuff because I was looking at a couple different options of things to do. But I like his energy and all the stuff he's about, and so yeah, probably about the last 2 or 3 weeks I really started diving into it more.
Okay, and I know you said a few different options of what to do, like in terms of like different business models or what specifically? So he was already saying, hey, I'm looking at a few different options. So all I want to do is just clarify here. Isn't like, as in like you're looking at different mentorships, as in like you're looking for different business models, as in like you're trying to do construction, like what do you mean different options? Just so I can understand before we get too deep into this call.
Yeah, like different business models, I saw e-com, I saw like the TikTok shop, the Amazon, affiliate, just a bunch of different things. So it's kind of just trying to see what would be the best one.
How do you know which one's going to be the best one for you? Can I ask? So now I'm using my little trick, and you'll see it here, of how to get people sold in on the business model, because what people care about more is the outcome and not the vehicle, right? Like, let me ask the audience this. If I offered you guys 20 grand to go sit in the corner of your room all day for 8 hours, would you do it? Probably, right? Because you don't care about how you make the money when you first start, at least. You care about making the money, right? So when beginners get into business, they shouldn't care about how they're making the money, as long as it's ethical, as long as it's not like hurting people or anything like that. But they don't really care, if I do TikTok shop or high ticket sales or copywriting, whatever, they just care that they get there. That's the most important part. So what you have to do is use kind of like tricks to make them realize that?
Honestly, I don't know. That's why I started. Like, I started looking through. I watched a bunch of the videos because I was trying to figure it out. But seeing like some of the videos and the testimonials that he had, there's a lot of guys similar to situations like myself. And so, I was like, if these guys can do it, then why couldn't I do it? So
that was a little bit of a trick question. Imagine you were playing a sport. Like, you're never gonna know if you like basketball until you actually play basketball, right?
Yeah.
You don't know if you like soccer until you actually play soccer, right? So you never know if you're gonna like any business model until you actually do it. But if I offered you 20 grand a month to go stand outside of a Pizza Hut and flip the sign for 18 hours a day, you'd probably do it, right?
Yeah, for 20 grand a month, I'd definitely do that. Yeah.
You don't care about the vehicle, you just care about the outcome, right?
There you go. He agrees. Okay, yeah, I would definitely do that. Okay, so nobody wants to be flipping signs outside of Pizza Hut. So you don't really care about the vehicle, you just care about the outcome. Cool. Then later on the call, I'll tell him why e-commerce which I was pretending to sell, is the best vehicle for him.
To a degree. Yeah, right now too, especially being young, like definitely trying to, stack up some money. So that's definitely the top priority.
Is that people make money with e-com.
Yeah.
Then he's like, well, I just want to do something that makes money. Okay, do you feel like you wouldn't be here today if you didn't feel like people make money with e-com, right? Yes. Okay, cool. Like, even before I get into the call, really, I'm already handling stuff that can be messed up, or like could stop him from moving forward, right?
Okay, cool. So how about we come in with the e-com, right? We're already here.
It's an online one.
Okay, cool. So you can be on your computer.
Yeah.
Easy stuff. Again, call shouldn't take too long. Really what it is for me, dude, I've been working with Sebastian for the past year and a half. I just want to make sure we can help. That's the biggest thing. So I'll ask you a few questions just to make sure we're kind of on the same page. But my biggest thing is I just want to help you make the best decision for yourself. So whether that's being a part of the program, perfect, cool. If it's not a problem, again, I just want to help you as best as I can. So in terms of Sebastian's program, in terms of e-com coaching, like what specific outcome do you feel like you're looking for specifically, do you feel?
That was a long question. I didn't mean to say the same thing twice. But what this is framing and then pretty much getting to discovery. So framing, all it is like kind of like showing them, okay, like this is what the call is going to be about. This is how it's going to go. This is how long it's going to last. This is the intention. And then you open up the room by saying, okay, like in terms of e-commerce coaching, in terms of our program, like what outcome are you hoping to get? What are you looking to get out of it? What are you hoping to get out of it? Anything with that verbiage will open up the floor and they'll be like, I want to make more money. I want to leave my job. And then it gets the conversation off to the right path. So like, obviously we don't need to sit here and show you the whole role play, but like this is an example of a good role play. And the last thing, and honestly the most important thing for you specifically, is the questions that you're asking them. So I'm gonna give you my favorite questions to ask on an interview, so you can literally just write these down and start asking them on the next interview you get on. My favorite questions to ask is, what has been the cash collected for the business for the past 90 days? So what this means is how much money have they actually collected the past 90 days? Because some offers will have huge months and then not make any money for some months, and that's not really a team you want to be a part of. So if they can give you a straight answer on that and not stutter and not be like, oh, well, I don't have the data on that. If they don't have the data on how much money they made, are they really doing that well in the business? Probably not. How much money are they making per month? What is their top and their lowest appointment setter? Or if you're applying for a closer, you can ask closer. What are they making per month? And why do you feel like there is such a differentiator between the two? If one's making 8 grand a month and one of them is making 2 grand a month, why is that? Another one. Okay, cool. What bad habits are happening on the team now that I can be aware of if I come on the team, or you don't have to deal with this as a manager? Or you could be like, what are some things that the guys are struggling with now so I can work on, or even potentially even help them if I were to come on the team and help the team make more money? Or you could be like, hey, what are you guys looking for in an appointment setter so I know what to do so we can all make more money as a team? Or you could ask, what are the closers complaining with about the setters right now? So me as a new setter coming onto your team, potentially, what can I do so they can make as much money as possible, aka make you even more money? You see how all these questions were asked? They're all relating to how can I make the business not more money? Not how can me, Kishan, make my first 10K a month. Again, that's the outcome of me making the business more money. But if you have that approach first, you'll 100% be hired. But again, if they have trouble answering some of these questions, like how much the appointment center is making, how much the business is making. Oh yeah, another great one. Where is all the traffic coming from? Where are all the people that are interested in the program coming from? Is it paid ads? Is it organic? If they're like, oh, we don't really have that tracked, or like, I'm not really sure. Either it's the wrong person interviewing you or this business owner is clueless. So that's something also to be worried about, because like if they don't know how much money they're making, if they don't know how much their appointment centers are making, probably means they're not like doing too much inside the business, which means it's probably not a great business overall. Those are the biggest red flags. Also too, like if you just get weird vibes that maybe that they're like scamming people or whatever, like don't be a part of this thing. Like that's not why you're in sales. You should be in sales to make money, but also really, really help people. So if you ask them a question like, how are you guys fulfilling for your students? And they're like, that's not something you need to worry about. You're on the sales team. Like, red flag, not doing it. I don't like scamming people. I like being ethical. Like, no. Okay, but let's say you do all this correctly, and I promise you, if you do this all correctly, like I just told you, you will pass your first interview. This is what the next steps will look like. If they onboard you on the call, great, follow directions, be communicating. If you have like a trip coming up, tell them, hey, by the way, before I even take this offer, I'm gonna be gone from this time to this time. I just wanna set expectations, right? But let's say they're like, hey, I had more interviews, follow me on Tuesday. You better fucking follow up on Tuesday, okay? And I'm gonna tell you exactly what to follow up with. So you could say, hey Dylan, I appreciate the chat on Saturday. Like I told you before, I'm gonna be following up on Tuesday, ha ha ha. But I appreciate the interview. Let me know if you have anything else you need to go over with me with. Let me know if you have any other questions, but I'm happy to come on the team and start crushing for you guys. Something along the lines of there of like, hey, I told you I was gonna follow up, so here I am. I hope your interview process was great. I hope your weekend was great. Let me know the next steps. I'm ready to crush. Almost assuming the sale that you're hired. Because again, that shows confidence. But yeah, if you do all that correctly, you do your research, you do your preparation before the interview, you show up on the interview, you crush your role play, you ask questions, you follow up, there's no reason why you won't get your first role. But now you have my exact system of how hundreds and hundreds of students have landed high paying sales roles. But here's the truth. It took me years of failed interviews, getting rejected, and eventually even hiring hundreds of sales reps myself to actually develop this system. And that's why people like Matthew can now land 10K a month roles whenever he wants, because they're not having to learn through the trial and error like I had to. And yes, you can definitely go ahead and practice on your own and do all the stuff I just told you. But if you want to, get direct feedback on your interview skills, practice with experienced closers, and fast track your path to getting to a 10K a month role, do yourself a favor and click the link below to apply for our mentorship program. And again, just a fair warning, we only accept people that we know will succeed. So best of luck. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.